Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next edition of the Big Ring. This is the London 8 Loop Handicap. Exciting news this ride. There's record numbers of joining us this week, 38 starters through the event module. We'll try and go through them now as we see the group just roll through the start line. In no particular order: Anderson from Sweden, Ross, Coluccio, Riddell, Plummer, Newby from Singapore, I believe, Burns, Marshall, Styles, Trevor Ross, Mead, Davies, Ride Leader and Bumblebee, Dutchy, Phillips, Tran, Fantana, back from a holiday break, Costa Beale, McBrien, Juice, Fisher for the first time, Thorman, Tanner, Rezak, Stokes, New, and Purdy and Ram. That's one person. So hopefully I've got everyone in there. We may have missed a couple with the big numbers, but as we pick up racing, we're live up Northumberland Avenue now. As I've pointed out previously, this can catch riders out, but looks like the bunch is staying together really well here, coming around the top of the hill. And it is Plummer towards the front and Burns pushing the pace, just seeing if they can catch anyone out. But looks like the group's going to come back together here. So we see the lead group starting to form and get a bit of cohesion about it. As we look through the names, we see people like Riddell as we just move forward. Riddell on the front at the moment, looking strong today. So we see Riddell, Ross, Davies, Plummer, Montgomery, Fisher, Thorman, Tran. So a good mix of experienced and new riders. This is Thorman now trying to do something off the front. Again, very early, but we see this every now and then. Thorman and now Burns. Burns coming through there, the TBR riders in the green jerseys. This is Burns. And just seeing if he can put a little bit of pressure, but it looks as though it's actually Ride Leader Davies, perhaps, who's trying to bring them back together. Bring the group back up to those front riders, Thorman and Burns, who were just pressing on, and that was Davies at the front there and immediately swamped. We see people taking their turns and the group's just being too strong and hauling back in riders who try and go off out on the front on their own. So as we turn and cross the bridge, still healthy numbers in this lead group, probably numbering 8 or 10 in the lead group, I'd say. And I just want to see, this is with McBrien here, and this happened. Every other rider in the group disappears from the screen. They've disappeared from the side name list. And what happens is when they appear, McBrien has been shelled out the back, and seemingly nothing he could do about it. So that's the race pretty much done before we even get to the climb for McBrien. He'll press on, but I think his chances of contending for a podium are done for tonight. So at the foot of the climb now, and there is a dozen or so TBR riders here who are eligible, and that's a big group to go to the foot of the climb. It's Scott Riddell, back from a little hiatus with the Big Ring group, leading them up the climb. He's looking strong today. We saw him earlier at the front of the pack, riding strongly, although at only 150 beats a minute, I say only. Looks like maybe he has more to give. So going through the list then, it's Fisher, Burns, Davies, Thorman, Rezak, Ross, Montgomery, it looks like Tran coming shortly. All very small gaps back to Michael Juice, Anthony Plummer, McBrien, who we saw have that little technical glitch, Sammy Phillips, Stokes, who's come to the race wearing the Sprinters green jersey, rubbing it in, Coluccio. We need to speak to Coluccio. There's only one Bumblebee jersey, Coluccio. Green jersey, please, next week. And back through Anderson from Sweden, Newby, Costa Beale, Fantana, too much good times on the holidays, Ross, Purdy and Ram, Mead, and I think Tristan Marshall at this stage will be rounding out the field. Previous event winner, Tristan Marshall. So So we're summarising the agony here somewhat, but this is Fisher leading Riddell about 2/3 of the way up the Box Hill climb, and we see Fisher just leading out on Riddell, just extending a second. Riddell just not quite being able to hold the wheel in the very smart looking Trek bike there. So moving to the top of the KOM banner, that is Fisher, crosses first. Then Riddell, we'll see if these places can hold to the finish. So big effort, a lot of handicap weight on Riddell. This is Ross, Burns, Thorman all together. Let's see if they can maintain, and we just saw Michael Juice then just off the back of this group of three, so that could become four potentially. That's Ross, Burns and Thorman, I say again, coming across the line now. Next will be Michael Juice, just a couple of seconds behind this group of three. There he goes. Back to Tran. Handicap working well this week. Gap's very small. Montgomery, I think a first-timer joining us out of the United States. Ride leader Davies, mid-pack. And Coluccio in the Bumblebee jersey also right behind him, potentially confusing there. Then it was Dutchy and Rezak over the top. We're with Stokes now, and Newbie has gone through already. Oh, this is Newbie with Stokes, Newbie in the black jersey. James New and Anthony Plummer. New just moving away from Plummer as they cross. Now, heading towards the bottom of the descent, this is Fisher out on his own. We're with Riddell in second place. So Fisher to Riddell to a group of Burns, Thorman, Ross and Juice. That's Fisher leading the race into the train station. He'll be the first onto the boards, into the tube. Here he goes now. Looks to have a significant gap, 40 seconds or so to Riddell at this stage. So this Fisher again, looking over his shoulder. We can't see second place yet, but we're now with riders in, that was third, fourth and fifth, back through Davies and Tran. This is Dutchy, Montgomery, Coluccio, McBrien, Richard Stokes in a tuck, 0 watts. He's producing 0 watts at 170 beats a minute. That's impressive. Just gets going again. Back with New, who's opened a big gap on Plummer on the descent there. That surprises me a little bit. Something maybe happened to Plummer. We'll find out later. So we saw Fisher briefly there coming out of the tube. Riddell a clear second place. Still at approximately 150 beats. Then this is the chase group of Juice, Ross, Burns and Thorman. This is Thorman. He's struggling to get back on terms. That's often a decisive little incline coming out of the tube station. But as we see it, it will be Juice leading the group out. Michael Juice, Ross, Burns and Thorman in that order, third, fourth, fifth and sixth. So it's going to be Fisher. Fisher in his debut ride is going to take out the first place. Fantastic ride, Fisher. Scott Riddell, huge effort, carrying a big weight. Just looking back over the shoulder of Fisher, we can't see Riddell, so it's going to be a clear win to Fisher, easing down to the line. Riddell's not easing down. He's producing 900, 850 watts. Second place, Scott Riddell, well done. And back to our groups now. We notice that Juice has just drifted off the front of this group of Burns, Ross and Thorman. So Juice currently in third place. We can't quite see him. He's up the road. This is Thorman now. He takes off on his sprint. Takes off very early, and we see this is Juice coming back to the group now. It looks as if he's easing to the line, Michael Juice. What's he doing? Thorman goes past Juice. Ross goes past Juice. Thorman and Ross. I'm going to call that a dead heat. I'm going to call Thorman and Ross equal third to Burns, Michael Juice. I don't know what he was doing. He stopped before the finish line. Tran. This is Dean Davies. We'll look to review those places for you. Montgomery, the first time big ring rider out of the United States. Welcome Montgomery, I hope to see you in future events. Richard Stokes, who's brought the Sprinters jersey. James New, looks like Plummer, who's clawed back a huge amount there. Newbie, then Plummer. Coluccio, it's going to be McBrien, Purdy, and Ram. So as the back markers finish, we'll go through the podium. It was Fisher, a clear winner to Scott Rodell, and then Thorman and S. Ross dead heating for third place. So well done to those riders. This is McBrien coming across the line now. I think his spirit was broken. Uh, Sammy Phillips finishing quick though. That is still McBrien ahead of him. Can Phillips catch McBrien there, I think? No, just not enough road. So Sammy Phillips was next. Anderson joining us for the first time from Sweden. And then Costa Beale, who's ridden a few of these events now, starting to know his way around the format. Trevor Ross after that. And a few riders to come. It's going to be Tanner, Marshall, and Mead rounding out the field. Guys, we're very excited to have the numbers increasing every ride at the Big Ring Handicaps. We hope you are too. Share us on all your socials, and we'll see you next event.